Welcome to the Anti-Hustle Business Podcast. I am your host, Shannon Whaley, and I'm here to help coaches, consultants, and service providers like you build profitable, sustainable online businesses without the hustle or the burnout that's so prevalent in the online space. I am here to show you that there is a totally different way to do business that doesn't leave you burnt the fuck out and hating your life. It's time to ditch the hustle culture and embrace a new way of doing business. So get ready to redefine success on your terms and build a thriving anti-hustle based business where you have more money, more naps, more travel, more freedom, more whatever the fuck you want in your life. So buckle up and let's dive in. Hi, welcome back to the pod. So this is the last episode of season 6, and I want to do a little recap of what this season of business was like for me and share my takeaways and what I'm doing moving forward. And hopefully you'll hear something, or I'm just trusting that you will hear something for yourself or feel a little less alone, because if you've been following along this season, then you know that there are other coaches and business owners who were in similar dips and similar seasons of business. And so maybe you'll just see yourself in some of what I'm talking about. So as I have shared over the last couple of months, this season of the podcast, but of my business, was not about growth whatsoever. It was 100% about dip and loss, and literally the worst year of business since I started business. So that has been very humbling. And I have talked to so many people who have said same. Right off the bat, if that's what you're also experiencing in your business, if this was the worst season, the biggest dip, I did not come, nowhere close to 6 figures this year. I would be surprised if I even got to like 40,000 this year, just to be super transparent, which going from close to 200K down to beginner prices, right? And beginner income is very fucking humbling. And I figured it out. I'm still alive. This season was about recalibrating. It was about just reconnecting and getting back to the basics. And I did a lot of storytelling. I shared a lot of my truth. I spent a lot of time coming back into my body and just letting things go that didn't feel good anymore. It was very eye-opening to really come to terms with what's happening with my body in terms of perimenopause and needing to stabilize my hormones. Really focus on my mental health. I have not had that big of a mental health crisis since I was in my 20s. And when I was suicidal and on antidepressants and in therapy. And it was a really big wake-up call to really be able to put myself first and essentially let my business go and just trust that contract work and clients and money was on the way. This season of the pod and of business was me basically getting back to my roots with the honesty and storytelling and trust, like the utmost trust. And I realized as I was letting the mastermind go and not signing anyone on for that and closing down all of my programs that I didn't need another business coach. I didn't need another strategy. I didn't need more funnels. I needed to take care of myself, and I needed regulation, and I needed consistency. So consistent income to get regulated, because being broke and not having money is highly dysregulating. And so really working on that and focusing on that. So as I got through the season, like everything else in my business, everything just felt like such a heavy lift. And I came back to, okay, well, what sounds fun? Like, what would make this easier? What would make this feel easier? And so that's why I started bringing on friends and former clients who've turned into friends and shared more about my process and just like threw out the scripts, because I have scripts for each episode, right? And so I was like, yeah, I don't want to teach this. Like, I just don't fucking care. And I could have shown up. I could have still done the episodes about like, here's your funnel and here's a coaching strategy, right? And it just, that wasn't me walking my talk. And so for me, I was like, okay, I'm just going to be super transparent and I don't have to perform that, right? So I stopped performing the content because that's what it felt like, because I just wasn't in it and I don't have to perform my story. And so that's why I came back to the storytelling, where it was more just, this is me being real. This is me sharing my story. I'm still showing up in the mess and not disappearing, because that is one of the things that I know will kill any sort of motivation or like being able to get back into it, right? Like if we stop posting, if we don't do Facebook Lives, so me staying on the podcast and continuing to put out episodes once a week, I was like, I can figure this out even if I'm not doing anything else, because one of the worst things I know for me and for a lot of my clients and community members is that when you dip out of your business completely, it is so hard to get back into the swing of things. And so this was how I kept at least one toe in my business and I mean, I wasn't even really sending out newsletters to announce that the podcast had arrived, right? Like it dropped. Like I literally could only show up for this. And if you were paying attention, there were weeks where I didn't even show up for this, where I wasn't doing podcast episodes. And so because of me not showing up, that's when I was like, okay, I have to get back into this. I'm just going to do the storytelling, and that's what we're doing for the rest of the season. So sharing my life, sharing my recovery story, talking about my relationship, my mistakes. And what this allowed me to do was to energetically stay in my business in some way. It helped me to process things out loud. And I know that so many of these conversations are happening behind the scenes because they're fucking embarrassing. People aren't talking. There are so many coaches on the internet right now who are also in massive fucking dips, and no one is talking about it. They're not talking about the numbers. They're not sharing how big of a dip, right? They're acknowledging it, but they're also like not focusing on it. And it's so important to know, yes, that people are still making money and that people are still in business, but also that so many of us are fucking struggling. It would be so easy for me to pretend like this wasn't happening, right? I get all the time people like, oh, you're crushing it. And I'm like, I'm not crushing it. And let me tell you all of the ways, like why, like, let me show you my bank account. Let me show you my client roster, right? Like it's non-existent. I do have people who are in anti-hustle business school, but compared to what it was maybe like a year and a half, 2 years ago, where I had multiple programs running, lots of extended payment plans coming in. So even if I didn't have the clients, I had the payment plans still dropping into my account. None of that is happening right now. And so being able to process this out loud and say it out loud and acknowledge what was happening felt more in integrity for me and for what I stand for and how I want to run my business. Brene Brown talks about when we say things out loud and we put things out into the world, that the shame just falls away. And there's so much embarrassment, and I don't know if it's shame. I don't know if it's that strong of a word. Maybe I've just talked about it enough that I've let it go. But there was a lot of like, who am I? Like, how can I tell people how to run their businesses if I'm like not running a business? And I know how to run a business, right? And I have confirmation over and over and over again between the programs that I've taken where I'm like, they're literally teaching me what I teach. And with my current contract position, I had to go through their onboarding process. And I was like, this is literally what I teach my clients. Like, how to launch, the process with the conversion event and the funnels. And it's exactly the fucking same. And this is a multi-million-dollar company, right? So it fucking works. It just wasn't working for me for many reasons. And I see more clearly now, right? I needed this to fall away. So also sharing these parts of what was going on behind the scenes just really helped me to reconnect with myself, to get back to my storytelling roots, to share more of what I was going through, because it's really easy to stay kind of surface level with the business coaching stuff, right? And I feel like I moved away from more of the personal stuff. So in the meantime, because that kicked up the storytelling, I've written a chapter of my book. I actually now whether anything happens with this, I don't care, but I submitted a chapter of my book into a competition, I guess. And it was a great kick in the ass and inspiration. And so I have other chapters planned, but I have not felt that inspired to do literally anything for a year. Now, I really think that this has a lot to do with my hormone imbalance and perimenopause, and getting on the hormone replacement therapy absolutely changed everything. I was interviewing friends and former clients, and it got me out of my funk. It allowed me to shine the light on them and pass the mic to them and hear their stories and share their stories with my community. It reminded me of why I do this work in the first place, and seeing their growth and hearing about their expansion, it felt so nice. And it's great to see them years after they've completed working with me, and to see what they're doing and the podcasts that they're creating and the different programs and where they've moved to. And so it's been very cool. And it got me out of my funk too, where, when we can get back into service, if we're feeling like this isn't working, like, what am I doing? If we can just get back into service and get back into doing what we love with no expectation, with no, I wasn't doing this right to make money. I just needed to be around like positive people who were doing really cool shit in the world, and to remember that these are my people and these are the people that I've attracted through my work. And it just felt really nice. And so it wasn't about trying to overtly teach. If you learned anything from this season, then I love it. But it wasn't because I'm here to teach you 10 ways to do X, Y, and Z. I was just literally trying to light myself back up again. I was trying to breathe again, and it worked. So as I looked back, there were 4 different areas that really stood out for me. And so I wanted to share that. So with the work stuff, because I have so many different kinds of things that I can do, it's great that I am a business and marketing coach, because it just means that I can go into and be more of an intrapreneur instead of an entrepreneur. So I can go into somebody else's business and do things for them. So I was doing contract work and doing social media coordinating and community management. And so that was one of the contract positions that I had. And then I also landed a contract with a company, and I am coaching lawyers and teaching them how to build their businesses. And like I said, like I'm doing with them what I already do in my own business. So it's just doing it somewhere else. And it feels so nice. And I'm just so grateful that I have all of the training, finally, all of the letters after my name and all the credentials and certifications have really paid off, because, I wouldn't have been able to get this position if I didn't have all of that training and the credentials. And it just reaffirmed my commitment to training as I start to build out my own coaching academy. So I focused on shifting out of the work that I was doing in my own business and into the contract work. And that let me just like not have to show up online all the time. And I'm sure if you've been paying attention, you've noticed like I'm not launching anything. I'm not selling anything. I'm just sharing stuff on the internet because I just needed a fucking break. I needed to take care of myself, and I just could not show up in that way until I got my hormones stabilized and my mood stabilized. I was too up and down, and I had crashed really hard and was really unstable for a couple of months. So I had to let go of that urgency, and I just really had to listen to myself to not push myself. And thankfully, I had these contract positions because I can't work in Italy and I just don't speak enough Italian. And so I needed money. But it allowed me to stop forcing running programs, forcing showing up, and I could just relax for a little bit. So I let my team go minus my podcast production team and then my accountant, but everyone else, I had to let them go. And I just like really, really got back to the basics of my business. And this was also, you know, in the making in 2024, 2025, as I started to see like money dipping and, you know, I had to make some really hard decisions. And that's just part of being a business owner. Money was one of the other areas that I really shined a huge fucking spotlight on and had to work on and focus on. So as I closed down the programs in my business and really focused on contract work, I had to pick consistency over the launching and over big spikes. I really needed to focus on creating income or having income that doesn't blow out my nervous system, that just allowed me to show up and do the work and leave and go to bed or go for a walk, right? Like instead of when you're running your own business, you're always on. And I just didn't have the bandwidth for that. Want to break free from the hustle and grind and build a successful business? I've helped thousands of clients and students leave their 9-to-5 jobs, travel the world, land their first clients, close 5-figure sales in the DMs, and grow their businesses to 6 and 7 figures. Want to know more? Visit antihustlebiz.com and transform your life and business the anti-hustle way. Okay, back to the show. And so I had to rebuild my trust with my money and did a lot of mindset work, a lot of meditation and manifestation work, and just really, really, really had to lean into trusting that the money was going to show up, that I'm safe with money. A lot of trust and safety stuff came up, and thank fucking God that I have been doing Profit First for the last 10 years. I will shove this down everyone's throats. And this is exactly why I am such a huge advocate for this program and for this book, because when my business started doing really well, I was very diligent about putting money away. And so I had, I think at least there was one time where there was, I don't know, $50,000 to $60,000 in various bank accounts, cash, between my operating expenses and payroll and business savings that I could look at. And I was like, well, we're going to figure this out. We're going to figure this out. And then I have access to multiple credit cards, over $100,000. So 6 figures in lines of credit cards, both. I mean, if it's personal and professional, because I have been so diligent about money and income and credit cards and building my credit score. And it allowed me to coast through 2025. Now, that was not without a lot of panic, and I have credit card debt again, but I know how to pay it off, right? Like, I know how to get out of this hole. So just forever grateful that I was introduced to Profit First, and that when I was having really good months, that I was putting away a lot of cash, and really changed my relationship to money that way. So if you do not have the book yet, if you have not read the book, please go out and get it, because it will change how you show up with your money and how you run your business. So the next part is my health, obviously. So that was something that really, really took priority. And so I focused on hormones and getting on hormone replacement therapy, going to doctors, getting second opinions, finding private doctors, paying extra, finally get answers after going to the same doctor for multiple years and hearing your labs are fine, you're fine, nothing's going on. And I'm like, well, I'm suicidal, so I'm not fine. So I need someone who's going to take me seriously. Allowing myself to sleep. So allowing myself to slow down and live with the seasons, and being okay with my erratic sleep because of my perimenopause, and learning how to work with that. So whether, gone are the days right now where I'm waking up at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm usually sleeping in until 10 or 11. It's pitch black until like 8 o'clock in the morning here. So I don't see the point. And I basically sleep until my eyes don't burn anymore. And then I get up. And that's just how I've been doing things for the winter. I've had to do a lot of work and acceptance on my body changing and weight gain and not working out, and really working with my body and being gentle. I don't have the same body, and I don't have the same chemical makeup that I did when I was in my 30s. And I have to really let go, and I've been working really hard. That whole when I was 30, I weighed whatever and I looked like this. And it's like, yeah, you weren't in perimenopause. Your body was not changing when you were 30. Let's see, when I was 30, I don't know, I was probably in the best shape of my life. But not mental health. When I was 34, it's not fair for me to compare what I look like now with what I looked like then, because I'm not the same person mentally, physically, hormone wise. And so I've been doing a lot of just reading and acceptance work on changing that. And it's been hard, but it's been really worth it. This was very needed. And then in terms of the identity work, we're constantly doing this, right? Of who are we stepping into, and who am I being, the ontological piece of coaching, and who is this person? And as I step into this new season of life, who am I? What kind of life am I creating? What habits do I want to have now, so that when I'm older, I'm healthy and I can go hiking and I can go kayaking and I don't have brittle bones and I'm strong. And then in terms of work stuff, really letting go of who I thought I needed to be online, how I thought I needed to show up, really releasing other people's definition of success and rewriting that. What is success? If it's a $250,000 business, why that price point? Really getting away from the metrics of what do I need to live like a wanderlust life? What do I need to live to thrive, to put money away so that when I'm older, I am set? What do I need to do now? And what do I want my business to look like? How do I want to feel? What's the impact that I want to have? As I start to think about the Coaching Academy and Anti-Hustle Business School, and where do I want to take these programs? Is it something that I want to build up so that I can sell to somebody later, right? What has to happen to make that happen? So just starting to think about what's the impact that I want to have, what's the legacy that I want to leave, and who's the person that I have to be. to create these systems and create this impact and the ripple effect that this work has. So those are some of the bigger things that I've been processing. I'm not necessarily like rebuilding the business. Like I needed to rebuild myself. I needed to pause and look at, what have I built? Am I happy with this? Does this feel good? And if not, what needs to fall away? And rebuilding from that and from a much more grounded, regulated place. Some of the things that I know now that I wanted to share is that the healing work that you do changes your ambition. It changes your motivation and your why. And so coming back to the basics, really, the first module of business school is vision and values and getting connected to your why. And I say this over and over, but you will keep coming back to your why over and over because it's going to change when you have kids, when you leave a relationship, when you have a new relationship, when you go through perimenopause, anything that you're doing, like a big life event, it's going to change your why. It's going to alter your why. So coming back to that. Also, what I know now is that the tried and true basics are there for a reason. And if I ever get wobbly, coming back to the basics, coming back to myself and my story and my why and the vision that I have and the values that I want my business to be built upon, and really reconnecting to that on a more consistent basis. I was definitely not doing that. So that was a big wake up call of maybe even every 6 months, just doing a visioning exercise. Like, we're halfway through the year. How are we? Are we on track? Are we what's going on here? Also, that if your nervous system is on fire, if you are not regulated, that your business is not in a good place. That you have to take care of yourself. That has to be your priority. So if you're not taking care of your body, if you're not taking care of your mind and your spirit, then your business is going to suffer and you're going to burn yourself out. So really, that was what really stood out for me, was just how important it is to take care of your mental and physical health, because if that's not well, then your business is soon to follow. And I had to learn how to listen. Again, I had to learn how to listen to my body. I had to learn how to listen to the nudges and not be so stuck on my goals and my vision, right? And my to-do list, and really just come back to myself. So what's next? I don't have a perfectly packaged next chapter. Because I have this new contract with the lawyers, it is giving me an opportunity to breathe. So this is something that is highly rated, because what happens is once we go full-time in our business, we have to keep churning, right? Like, we have to keep launching things. We have to keep selling, because we need to hit these income levels so we can pay our team, so that we can live the lifestyle that we've created for us. And that causes a lot of fucking stress. And a lot of people have to run programs that you don't necessarily want to run because you need the money. And when you don't have the space in your business to be thinking of new programs, or not even new programs, but just to go live, and just to not constantly be thinking about what you're selling and money that's coming in, and I got to do this and I got to do that, right? When you don't have that space, you don't allow things to drop in, because you're always going. You haven't created that space for creativity and new ideas. And so, of course, I wasn't writing anything in my book because I was so worried about what I was selling. Of course, I wasn't focusing or building out. I mean, I've wanted to build the coaching academy for years, for 6 years since I left the coaching academy that I was working for. And I didn't have the space. And so that's where I am now. So I have joined a 12-month mentorship where they're going to help me build out this next chapter and what that means. I have stabilized income, which is getting better every week. And I don't have to worry about building something quickly. I can take my time. I can build out the systems and the content and all of the things slowly and just really take care of myself. So that feels really great. I'm getting more active in my Facebook group. So I have season 7 planned out, and we'll be doing Facebook Lives every Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern in my Facebook group. So it feels fun to be back in there. So I'm slowly adding in new marketing channels. Like I'm back here. I have a plan. I, have podcast episodes and then the Facebook Lives that are going to correspond with the podcast episodes. So we can go more in depth. And that feels doable. It feels good to me. Whatever comes next, I'm just going to do it slowly. I'm not making any quick decisions. I'm sitting on things and letting things kind of percolate. And I'm not in a position where I have to hurry up and get something out so I can hit goals or, make rent. So that's where I am. And whatever I build needs to be sustainable and something that my body can manage and can hold. So that's what the focus is for 2026. So if you are also in a recalibration, rebuilding season, you're not alone. You're not broken. You're not behind. You are listening. You're honoring what's coming up. And my hope for you is that you are able to build that trust in yourself and really start to listen to the inner voice and figure out what is next for you as well. So I would love for you to, if you want some journal prompts or if you want to come share in the Facebook group, I'll put the link in the show notes for the group, but it's Anti-Hustle Business Coaching for coaches and service providers. But what season are you in right now? What is this looking like for you? What does stability look like for you right now? And are you rebuilding? What are you putting back out there? What are you rebuilding? So season 6 was me coming back to myself, coming back to my roots. And I'm just so grateful that you were here while I did that. And I'm just grateful that you are part of the community. So I will be back next week. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the group. Take care. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Anti-Hustle Business Podcast. I hope you found inspiration in the message and that you got some actionable next steps that you can implement right away in your business to start seeing results and moving the needle. Remember, you don't have to sacrifice your well-being or your mental health to achieve success. So prioritize your pleasure, play, and rest while you build your business around your life. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your feedback helps me reach more entrepreneurs like you who want to do business in a completely new way. For more resources and to connect with my community, please visit my website at antihustlebiz.com and follow me on Instagram at @TheShannonWhaley. Until next time, keep taking those strategic anti-hustle steps toward building the business and life that you love. Take care.